Hello, another custom Trackmania circuit here. No real inspiration behind this one in terms of, say, other circuits that already exist. But one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to have the circuit change in elevation and have a section with banked terrain. And the idea behind this was I wanted to create a section with banked terrain that flowed nicely, but added an extra little bit of challenge, as you'll see as we go around. The first section of the track, from the goal line to the checkpoint in the bottom right, is fairly standard. It's a bunch of corners. Most of them can be taken at quite high speed. In fact, there's very little need to slow down, apart from the second chicane quite near to the checkpoint and the right-hander just before it. Following the theme of go fast, this is what this section is designed for. So then we come into the second section, which is marked by the checkpoint. It's a little tricky to see from the angle, the initial angle of the overview, but the train goes up. It actually goes up in two small ramps, and the idea is that you will probably take off after you hit the first one and land on the second one and then coast over into the top section. The track then banks around into a long right-hander. Now the right-hander doesn't tighten, but as soon as the corner ends it flips back up to the standard orientation. The reason I've had it do that is because of the way it's a long corner and it's quite high speed, and if you apex properly you will end up on the outside of the corner when you exit it. This is where the track reorients itself, and if you're on the outside you won't be bounced into the air, more or less. So the idea is that you will be able to flow around the corner smoothly and not fly off the track or anything. The track then slopes into the other direction and goes down into a hairpin. Now, although it's just a standard hairpin, it seems trickier to judge because of the orientation, which is something I quite liked when I designed and tested the track. The track then ramps up slightly onto a couple of simple corners, and then there's a few straights and just some 90-degree turns that go downhill to get back onto ground level. Now this leads into the final section of the track. You can just about see the the second checkpoint just underneath the ramp that leads up towards the slope section, which you can see much better from this angle here. Actually comes into a couple of fairly simple corners. The two left-handers here before the long right-hander are quite high speed. The right-hander does tighten halfway through, but then widens again towards the exit, so that you have to slow down a little at the apex, but you can accelerate out of it all the way. From here we go into the section just before the boosters. You do need to slow down a little, but not too much. The boosters then propel you at really high speed into a hairpin, so knowing and judging when to brake is very important there. And from there it's just a couple of simple corners with it's vaguely inspired by the Monaco Grand Prix, this last section, particularly the right-hand corners with this slight bit of track in between. It's a very loose approximation because of the limits of Trackmania, but the final section I was going for a slightly tricky take the right line and you'll be able to keep speed up sort of vibe, and that's the vibe I was going for with it. So I'm gonna jump over now to a playthrough of the track. I'm not going to do captions over it this time. I'm gonna do my best to talk over it and keep it interesting so you can sort of see the design at work. So here we have the track as we're going around. As you can see, this first section, it's full of fairly twisty turns, but you can take it at quite high speed. Once you get out of those first early sections, we come into the set of two chicanes. You only really need to slow down in the middle of it, and then from there on you're fine to accelerate through. And we come to the boosters that lead up to the first, the only slope section. As you can see, you boost up onto the ramps, you get thrown into the slope, and as you drift around, you drift to the outside. Get righted, go over the orientation. Because you're on the right hand side moving in towards the apex, you get flipped over again, and then you transition into the hairpin. Now this section after it is just a couple of fast corners to get you back on ground level. That corner in particular, if you angle for it right, you can take it at a much higher speed, because otherwise you'll need to slow down before you hit the barriers at the end. This is the corner with the which tightens and then widens back out again. Now we come down to the corners leading in towards the boosters towards the hairpin. This is the section, as I said, that was very loosely inspired by Monaco with the style of corners and how close they are together and the sort of speed you can take them through. It ended up just being quite a nice technical section, I thought, that it rewards you for knowing sort of the gist of racing line and that sort of thing in order to get through it. So obviously now this is just the second lap. So enjoy it and thanks for watching.